It's the weekend update edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. Welcome in here on this Friday afternoon. We'll be here with you for the next couple of hours, coming from the Lee Company Studios. Wade of his home, me right here at West 7th Street in Columbia, talking sports of national, regional, and local imports. So, stick around. It's going to be fun, as is normally the case. Wade, happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you. Good to be with you. Good to be with everybody. A little too warm for my liking, if I'm being honest. The day before Earth, Wind, and Fire Day. But, I mean, hey, at least as you said earlier this week, there is no rain in the forecast for tonight's ball games, which is always a treat.
Hey, yeah. If we can stay away from the rain, I'll take a little warmth. So I'll live with that. You got the weekend started a little early last night with a little football.
Man, yeah. And one of those classic games where when we give you the final score in just a moment, you're going to say, oh, okay, that didn't seem like much of a game. But a very impressive effort from BGA against a really, really talented and really strong pedigreed CPA program on Thursday night. Main Street Preps football action last night. One of those that a few plays here, a few plays there, and maybe we're talking about a different result. But in the end, CPA was surgical in their victory last night.
CPA has made a living off of those type performances, particularly under Engel Martin. So while, you know, the score may be a little misleading in terms of Battleground Academy's effort, it's kind of par for the course for CPA. We'll get to that in just a second. We'll be talking a little college football here today. We'll be talking a little pro football, not so much high school football, although there's plenty of it going on tonight. Be sure and get out to a game. But in the next hour, we'll be joined by Joe Rexrode of The Athletic, talking a little college football and a little realignment, because they are pretty well intertwined these days. In our next segment, we will be joined by Sam PHALEN, who covers the Titans for A to Z Sports.com, and, well, among other things, let's say. Is that the best way to put that, Wade?
That is a good way to put it. He is diverse in his media endeavors, perhaps.
Yeah. We'll be talking a little bit more about that in the next segment.
You might be some of our viewers might be familiar with him just when they see his face later on this broadcast.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, and if you don't know where you know him from, we will clarify that for you as well. But we'll talk a little baseball with the Braves, with the Astros, with some Major League Baseball. There was a little bit of an occurrence last night that we pretty well can't help but talk about. Again, we'll talk a little college football. We'll talk a little pro football, a little Preds, a little WNBA. And Wade, our prognosticating really needs some work, and not just for football, clearly. So, but yeah, we'll get into that more later in the show and in the rundown as well. So, I guess at this point, given that it is the weekend, we needn't waste too much more time as we give you yesterday's results and this weekend schedule on the rundown.
This is the rundown.
Hey, folks, before we tap into the Friday rundown, I want to remind you that today's rundown is brought to you by Chip Walters of Exit Realty, Bob Lamb and Associates. The Blue Raider Voice also wants to be your trusted advisor in real estate. So contact Chip at 615-542-1915 or visit his website at choosechip.net. That's Chip Walters, proud to support youth sports across Middle Tennessee.
Thursday night high school football, Christ Presbyterian with a 49-16 Division II AA Middle Region win over visiting Battleground Academy last night. In volleyball action, Battleground Academy with a 3-2 win over Providence Christian. Murfreesboro Central with a 3-0 win over Battle Creek. It was Eagleville 3, Cannon County nothing. Lawrence County 3, Coffee County nothing. Gallatin down Mount Juliet 3-1. Middle Tennessee Christian with a 3-0 win over Grace Christian of Franklin. It was Wilson Central 3, Laverne nothing. Loretta 3, Mount Pleasant nothing. Culleoka 3, Moore County 2. Riverdale with a 3-0 win over Oakland. Houston County defeated Santa Fe 3-1. Siegel with a 3-2 win over Blackman. Stewart's Creek defeated Smyrna 3-1. And it was Zion Christian 3, Lancaster Christian nothing.
Take us into girls soccer action from last night. 9-0 was the score as BGA defeats Middle Tennessee Christian. 3-0 was the final as Brentwood tops Nolensville last night. It was a 6-1 victory for Cheatham County over Harpeth. University School of Nashville defeating Columbia Academy 1-0. DCA topping Davidson Academy 9-0. Big win for DCA there. 3-0 was your score in favor of Dixon County on top of Clarksville Northeast. It was Franklin Simpson out of Kentucky 5, East Robertson 1. Rossview could not do much with Innsworth as Innsworth scores 5 goals in that 5-0 victory last night. Another Mercy Rule effort as Fairview is on top of Montgomery Central 9-0. 3-0 is your final score as Father Ryan defeats Pope John Paul II. Valor Collegiate, Franklin Road Academy, they play to a 1-1 draw. Friendship Christian with a 4-2 final over Christian Community. Gallatin takes it 2-1 versus Mount Juliet. Glencliff 1-0 versus Kenwood. Good Pasture 5, Clarksville Academy 1, Stewart's Creek 4, Green Hill 1, and it was Greenbrier 6, Russellville, Kentucky 1.
Also, Harpeth Hall doubling up Christ Presbyterian Academy 4-2. Hendersonville with a 2-0 win over Beach. Hillsboro 9, Hunters Lane nothing. Centennial and Independence played to a scoreless draw. Clarksville Northwest with a 1-0 win over Kirkwood. Merrill Hyde defeated Laverne 9-0. Liberty Creek blanked West Creek 4-0. Livingston Academy with a 9-0 win over Watertown. Also, Culleoka, for the second time this season, defeated Loretta 9-0. Martin Luther King with a 10-1 win over Lead Academy. Oakland shuts out Rockvale 3-0. Page and Ravenwood play to a 1-1 draw. Blackman defeats Riverdale 4-1. It was Smyrna 7, Antioch nothing. Macon County with a 3-0 win over Springfield. Franklin with a 3-0 win over Summit. Sycamore 9, Creekwood nothing. Tullahoma with a 4-0 win over Giles County. Grace Christian of Franklin edged the Lady Feet of Webb 3-2. And in a top 5 women's soccer matchup, it was number 5 UT Southern and number 3 William Carey playing to a 2-2 draw down in Pulaski yesterday.
Real quick, a shout out to our buddy Zach O'Kelly, SID at UT Southern. His headline yesterday, Mo, said it was a P-Town prize fight as UT Southern and William Carey played to that 2-2 draw. Those will be your top 2 teams, it seems to be, in the Southern States Athletic Conference yet again this year. To MLB action from last night, it was the Braves all over the Reds. It was 15-3. Favoring Atlanta last night, and the Astros pick up a 3-1 win versus the Angels. The Sounds on top of Norfolk 8-4, and we mentioned yesterday that the final night of the regular season of the WNBA.
Stop. That score is reversed. It was Norfolk 4, Nashville. I'm sorry, Norfolk 8, Nashville 4. That game was over before we went off the air yesterday, if you recall.
All right. Sorry about that, folks. But yes, tough break for the Sounds. Good news is you get a chance to do it again this weekend here. WNBA scores from last night. Atlanta on top of the Liberty. More on that later. 78-67. It was the Mystics defeating the Fever 92-91. The Sun on top of the Sky 87-54. The Sparks do defeat the Lynx 68-51. It was Seattle edging Phoenix as the Mercury fall 89-70. And the final game, late night contest, Aces 98 and the Wings 84. Thursday night football last night, the Jets pick up a 24-3 win over the New England Patriots.
High school football tonight. These are all 7 o'clock kicks unless otherwise noted. Oakland is at Blackman. Stewart's Creek goes to Cane Ridge. Clarksville hosting West Creek. Rossview is at Clarksville Northeast. Lawrence County travels to Columbia Central. Donaldson Christian travels to Columbia Academy. Cookville hosting Mount Juliet. Richland heads to Cornersville. Liberty Creek is at at East Nashville. Lipscomb Academy goes to Ensworth. Ezel Harding hosting Franklin Christian. Cheatham County goes to Fairview. Nolensville is at Franklin. Clarksville Northwest travels to Franklin Road Academy. This game was forfeited by Republic as Friendship Christian officially picks up a 1-0 victory. There's coverage.
Low-scoring affair.
A very low-scoring affair. Yeah, there's coverage of that development at the Wilson Post. Tommy Bryan all over that situation there. Warren County travels to Gallatin tonight, 7 o'clock. Pope John Paul II is at Good Pasture. Clarksville Academy goes to Grace Christian of Franklin. Green Hill hosting Lebanon. Station Camp is at Greenbrier. Providence Christian goes to Grundy County. Hunter's Lane taking on visiting Henry County. Eagleville is at Huntland. Beach travels to Independence. Bradley Central out of Cleveland coming up to Innovation Academy of Springfield. Joe Burns hosting East Robertson, and Ravenwood is in a region matchup at Overton.
Kickoffs continuing on Friday night. Hillsboro traveling to Kenwood this evening. Dixon County is on the road at Kirkwood, as we talked to Coach Tomlinson on the show yesterday. Smyrna at Laverne this evening. Big showdown between Loretto and Lewis County, a game over in Hohenwald tonight. Father Ryan is at MBA. That should be a good showdown between those two rivals. Glencliff at Maplewood. White House is traveling to Marshall County this evening. Brentwood Academy is at McCauley tonight. Antioch is at McGavock. Westmoreland traveling to Monterey. Nashville Christian is on the road at Mount Juliet Christian. Page will host Coffee County this evening. Montgomery Central is traveling to Pearl Cone. It'll be Clay County at Portland. Riverdale traveling to Rockvale. Wilson Central is down at Shelbyville this evening. Hendersonville traveling over to Siegel. Lawson on the road tonight at Spring Hill. It'll be Centennial at Springfield. Davidson Academy at St. George's. It'll be Mount Pleasant at Summertown. Oh, mama, that's going to be a big showdown in that region tonight. Brentwood is on the road at Summit. Stratford is at Sycamore. Cascade at Watertown this evening. Harpeth at Waverly. Middle Tennessee Christian at Webb School. Houston County at West Carroll. Forest is traveling to White House Heritage tonight. Creekwood is on the road at Whites Creek. And rounding out our scoreboard, it'll be Zion Christian playing host to Christian Community. That start time is set for 7:30.
Volleyball this evening, 5:30 start for Santa Fe at Battle Creek at 6. Siegel is at Smyrna. Tomorrow morning, Lawrence County plays someone at 9. We're not sure who. Also at 9 o'clock, Stewart's Creek takes on Murfreesboro Central. Spring Hill faces Rockvale at 10. Whitwell and Eagleville will play at 10. Mars Hill Bible out of Alabama plays Loretto at 10. At 11, Spring Hill takes on Stewart's Creek. Stewart's Creek. At 12, Lawrence County and Eagleville will face off. Also, Wilson of Alabama and Loretto will face off at 12 noon. And Rockvale takes on Murfreesboro Central. 1 o'clock starts for Lauderdale County, Alabama and Loretto. Spring Hill and Murfreesboro Central at 2. Bledsoe County takes on Eagleville. Rockvale faces Stewart's Creek. And Gallatin is participating in the Southern Kentucky Slam tomorrow.
Sounds entertaining, if nothing else.
It does. Yeah.
Good branding there, Southern Kentucky Slam. Girls soccer action. These are kickoffs scheduled for tonight. 5 o'clock, we'll see Sycamore at Lawson, Hillsboro at Martin Luther King, and it'll be Hume Fogg at Wilson Central. MLK and Wilson Central playing host to those matches at 6 p.m. So Lawson hosting at 5, and then MLK and Wilson Central at 6. Saturday morning, buckle up, get ready. It'll be Friendship Christian on the road at Columbia Academy. If soccer in the morning is not your cup of tea, don't worry. There's college football on tap tomorrow as Florida Memorial is at Cumberland. You can hear that game on WANT. That is FM 98.9. Tennessee State is at Tennessee Tech at 1:30. That game can be seen on ESPN+. Duke at MTSU. Homecoming this weekend for the Blue Raiders. They get underway at 3 o'clock. Vanderbilt at Missouri just 15 minutes after MTSU at 3:15 on the SEC Network as Vanderbilt goes to Mizzou. Buckle up for that one. 6 p.m. tomorrow. It'll be Alabama A&M at Austin Peay. That game can be seen on ESPN+. And 6:30 tomorrow night, the Tennessee Vols are on the road at Oklahoma on ABC.
Major League Baseball this weekend of local interest. That means interest to me and wait. Atlanta travels to Miami, taking on the Marlins. Tonight's game is a 6:10 start. You can see it on Valley Sports Southeast. Tomorrow they play at 3:10. You can see it on ESPN Plus and or Valley Sports Southeast. And the Sunday finale is a 12:40 start on the MLB Network and on Valley Sports Southeast. The Astros hosting the Los Angeles Angels tonight at 7:10, tomorrow at 6:10, and Sunday at 1:10. You can see all of those on the MLB TV app. Excuse me. The Sounds continue their final regular season series at Norfolk this weekend. 5:35 starts tonight and tomorrow night, a 12:05 start in Sunday's finale. There is WNBA postseason action tomorrow night, and we will give you more of that later on. But Sunday, 12 noon, the Green Bay Packers travel to Nissan Stadium, taking on the Tennessee Titans. Again, that's a 12 noon start, and you can see it on Fox. And Saturday, 7:30, the Nashville Soccer Club, looking to extend a 2-game win streak, hosting FC Cincinnati. That's 7:30 first touch. You can see it on Apple TV. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your rundown. Your top story brought to you, as always, by Piggly Wiggly in Neely's Mill in Columbia. Be sure and check out their delicious daily deli lunch items, available from 11 a.m. until 6 p.m. daily. Also, their hand-cut meats and everything is cost plus 10% at the cash register. Piggly Wiggly, Neely's Mill, Columbia. I think it's safe for Major League Baseball or whoever administers the National League Most Valuable Player Award to go ahead and engrave it to Shohei Ohtani. Last night down at Miami, this guy hit his 49th, his 50th, and his 51st home runs of the year, stole his 50th and 51st bases of the year, making him the charter member of the 50-50 club. But wait.
First ever 51-51 member.
Then, yeah. But wait, there's more.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Went 6 for 6 with those 3 home runs, 2 stolen bases, 2 doubles. That was the 13th time this year that he's hit a home run and stolen a base in the same game. Drove in 10 runs as the Dodgers defeated the Marlins 20-4. 6 for 6, 2 doubles, 3 home runs, 2 steals, 10 ribs, 1 game.
Mama, there goes that man, right?
There goes that man. Yeah, and I think the Marlins pitching staff probably helped him pack and made sure that he got out of the stadium to the airport and out of the state. And that's a month or so ago, I was a little irritated because so much of the conversation around National League MVP centered around Ohtani, and Marcell Ozuna was getting no love. But, I mean, the way it has played out at this point, it might be unanimous, because I'm not sure who else you could vote for.
Yeah. I mean, the headlines, I'm reading 3 different news outlets, and all of them have the same headline. Was that the greatest single game in the history of Major League Baseball? 6 for 6 with 3 home runs, 10 RBIs, and 2 steals. The only bad part is it was against the Marlins. If it was not against the Marlins, then you definitely would have to say this was just unbelievable. But baseball is so there's such an element of randomness and chance involved that, yeah, it doesn't matter if it's the Marlins or not. You can't go 6 for 6 versus the Marlins more often than not. I mean, and unbelievable. They announced the crowd as 15,548, which seems like a massive crowd
For Miami?
For Miami. I'm assuming about 90% of that was Dodgers fans or just general baseball fans that wanted to potentially witness history. And if that was your case,
They
buckle up, because, you got to see the first ever entry into the 50-50 club, and you didn't have to wait long for the first ever 51-51.
Again, Tommy Bryan of the Wilson Post posted on his Facebook page that he had thought that the greatest single game performance was by St. Louis Cardinals pitcher Rick Wise back in 1971 when he hit 2 home runs and threw a no-hitter, which is pretty
that's pretty stout.
That's pretty stout. That's solid. But somebody on Twitter threw up Tatis's 2 grand slams in an inning, but this is next level. Obviously there's recency bias, and you can go back and comb through the annals and probably come up with something that challenges this. But 6 for 6 with 5 extra base hits and 10 ribs. Oh, and 2 stolen bases. Yeah, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to find anything to top that. So again, congratulations to National League Most Valuable Player for 2024, Shohei Ohtani. Just get that out of the way. Let's go to a break here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we return to the Lee Company studios, we will be joined by A2ZSports.com's Sam PHALEN, and we're looking forward to it. Stay tuned after the break. Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
So Busy Bee is a very close-knit family. We fight just like every family does. We have arguments, but we always come out with a solution to the problems. We don't just fight about what we want, we fight about what customers need. We want to make sure that every customer we go to is more than satisfied. And that doesn't just start whenever we show up at their door, that starts when we show up every day at work. We want to make sure that we are serving our customers to the best of our ability.
He shoots, and he scores!
Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers, putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
The weekend update continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. You might want to flip us, Mark. Or not. We're coming to you from Lee Company Studios of our respective, well, no, Wade's at home. I'm here at West 7th Street in Columbia, and we are joined now
tonight.
Yeah, exactly. But more importantly than either Wade or myself at this point is our next guest from A to Z Sports. We have Tennessee Titans beat writer Sam PHALEN joining us. And Sam apparently has been doing some moonlighting in addition to his Titans coverage. If you were watching Wednesday's premiere of Survivor on CBS, you could see Mr. PHALEN. First of all, Sam, thanks for taking some time with us, especially given your newfound celebrity status.
Yeah, I'm not sure I would put it in the celebrity realm just yet, but I appreciate you guys having me on. I'm happy to talk Titans and stoked, obviously, for people to watch Survivor on CBS on Wednesday nights. It's been a whirlwind, kind of, and only 1 weekend, so we'll see what else we've got to unfold.
Well,
my question real quick, Sam, is the timing good or bad for you that the Survivor Series debuts right in the middle of Titans coverage right now?
Not the best, to be honest, only because my life is a little overwhelming at the moment. I'm going from Titans to, watch party, and I'm trying to react to everything and taking all my content from the episode and really absorb what I watched. I got to wake up and go talk to Will Levis the next day. So it's been a little bit busy, but can't complain, right? It's all good stuff.
I was going to kind of backload this, but we're into it. Do you watch what has taken place and kind of remember some of it when you're watching the show that maybe you had forgotten actually happened between the taping and seeing it?
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, you are so much obviously happens, and very easily forget about some of the little details that may have occurred along the way. So watching it back is very cool. You see all the big stuff, and you see all the little stuff too that you kind of go, oh, hey, I forgot about that moment. That's funny that they captured that. But yeah, so that has definitely been a cool part of it thus far.
We'll come back to more of Survivor here later in the segment. But Sam, are we going to get Malik Willis versus the Titans on Sunday or what?
Yeah, I think we are. I really think we are. I mean, I'm not buying any of this Jordan Love stuff. Matt LaFleur saying we'll give him up to 90 minutes before the game. Come on, man. Like, you're going to know who your starting quarterback is before 90 minutes before game day. So if it's really that up in the air, I don't think Jordan Love is going to go, especially given how different Malik Willis is from Jordan Love and kind of how much differently the Packers have to prepare offensively. I think this is a matter of, try not to give anything away, try to not let the Titans know what's coming, or try and make them prepare for both quarterbacks. But I do think it will be Malik Willis for Green Bay. I also think it should be. The last thing the Packers need right now is to bring back Jordan Love too soon, risk making this a bigger deal than it already is. The best thing that could have happened for the Packers was that win against the Colts last week. Malik gave you a little bit more of, a leash here. So you can afford to go one more with Malik, hope for the best against the Titans. But even if you lose, you get Jordan Love back at 1-2. Like, you got to be feeling pretty okay about where you're at if you're the Packers still.
And at the same time, Sam, what was the buzz in the Titans press corps this past week as Malik came off of that win over the Colts? I mean,
yeah, we're stoked, man. I mean, come on, like this is storyline city right now. We get Malik Willis against Will Levis in Nashville, and it's either going to be a get right game for the Titans where Will sorts of figures some of this stuff out, doesn't turn the ball over as much, and the Titans offense looks better, And if it's not, and if it's a loss to Malik Willis, oh boy, we're going to have some outrage. But it's definitely going to make for a captivating football game on Sunday that I can't wait to watch.
Sam, I'm curious. Let's keep the Jordan Love combo to the side because it does seem like that's probably unlikely. How much is LaFleur? Is he going to add anything new to the playbook in your mind for Willis this weekend? Because they did okay with keeping it relatively vanilla and kind of playing to his strengths last week, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think they're still probably going to keep it vanilla. I think that is the nature of the beast here with Malik, is that, that's kind of just what he is. But, Matt LaFleur, I think, will add a few wrinkles that are, scripted and that they've practiced throughout the week that maybe the Titans haven't seen on tape, that they don't see coming. I thought Matt LaFleur was masterful last week. Basically, everybody in the stadium knew they were going to run the ball just about every play. And he found enough ways to scheme up creative runs where he's using Bo Melton and, Dontavian Wicks or whoever, all like wide receiver end arounds, wide receiver handoffs, Malik Willis keepers, Josh Jacobs 35 times in the game. So it was a really creative run scheme from Green Bay. And then when they needed to pass, they found a way to pass, especially in that second half. And I think you're probably going to see a few more, maybe some tricks, maybe some splash plays. But I think the Packers are going to be smarter and wiser to simplify the game for Malik.
With that being said, we've seen this Titans defense play very well in its first two games. What, in your mind, is the scheme, or how are they going to attack the Packers and maybe try and force Willis into some potential mistakes?
Well, I would love to see them continue to bring pressure at Malik Willis, make him think quickly on his feet. And hopefully that is what the Titans defense needs to generate more turnovers, right? That's what the story that we hear from this Titans defense. They're number one in the NFL in yards allowed, but they haven't created a turnover yet. And it has allowed them to at times lose the time of possession battle and lose the turnover battle in a game, which makes it very difficult to win. I've talked with Titans players and defensive coordinator Denard Wilson throughout the week. He keeps hammering away at, we need to strip the football. We need to hack at the football when we get home. And I think Malik is a quarterback very different from Aaron Rodgers, right? Aaron Rodgers is notorious and known for not putting the ball in harm's way. I think Malik Willis is a guy that you speed him up, you pressure him, he's likely to make a mistake. And that could be the turning point that the Titans defense needs at home, looking for that big breakout play and breakout game to get one. So keep bringing the pressure. I've loved what I've seen from Ernest Jones and Kenneth Murray as the two inside linebackers there. I think they're going to be critical players this week. And obviously stop Josh Jacobs on the outside. Josh Jacobs perimeter runs, he does very well and has been probably the biggest defensive weakness for the Titans thus far.
At the same time, though, Sam, is that kind of a high risk, high reward type situation, pressure in Malik, just from the fact that he certainly has the ability to make some plays with his feet?
I mean, I think you have to set the edge and maintain some contain. I think part of the way that Denard Wilson has designed this defense is a way that his second level can play downhill. His linebackers, a safety in Jamal Adams, who's going to get an increased snap count this week against the Packers, can go and bring pressure at a quarterback. You can bring nickel blitzes, and they have faith in their cornerbacks, L'Jarius Sneed and Chidobe Awuzie, to kind of hold things down in man coverage and jamming at the line of scrimmage. So the defense is sort of designed to get downhill and fill run gaps and overwhelm opposing quarterbacks. That's what is so key about a Harold Landry or an Arden Key, is like, hey, let's make sure we're keeping contained, setting the edge, and not letting Malik Willis get you with his legs for big plays. But I think if you're the Titans right now, a 15, 20-yard run for Malik Willis here and there, you'll take that in exchange for, a sack or a turnover or some of the big plays that can turn into points for your team.
Sam Phelan, of A to Z Sports, joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Obviously, Sam, after 2 weeks, the elephant in the room becomes, can Will Levis stay disciplined enough to not make, again, as former coach Mike Vrabel would say, not do stupid stuff to hurt the team?
Yeah. So that, I mean, if you're asking me that question, I would say, I think so. I want to believe so. I want to believe that Will is going to get the message. I'm rather encouraged, and I know this is probably not what Titans fans want to hear or the common view, but I'm encouraged by what the mistakes are. This is not a quarterback who's not seeing the field. It's not a quarterback that's inaccurate throwing the ball and making decisions that are like, there's a difference when you watch a Daniel Jones or a Bryce Young play football and you say he just doesn't get it. Brian Callahan sort of described these things as these are the unforced errors. These are the very simple, don't be dumb and don't make that play and we'll be okay. And so I tend to think these are more of a fluke and more of an anomaly. I think part of this is just Will's personality and the fact that he is aggressive. He's a competitor. He gets caught up in the moment. And, it's going to be a learning process for him to rewire his brain, as he said, to sort of not have this be his nature. We've heard a lot about Titans players over the first 2 games of the season, reverting back to habits, reverting back to the things that are natural to them. And what Will Levis said that I thought was very interesting was, he needs to break a bad habit. And the challenge of doing it is he's in the middle of an NFL season. He has to train himself to have this be second nature to him while he's also worrying about all the other responsibilities that come on game day for an NFL quarterback. I want to say yes. I don't feel like it's possible for him to have another like WTF are you doing, Brian Callahan moment in a game. But that being said, I would have said the same thing going into week 2, that we weren't going to have another one after week 1. So cautiously optimistic about Will and the fact that this can get fixed.
It's just, to me, Sam, it's a case of, how confident can you be in that? Again, he didn't just do it once and didn't just get talked to about it once, but he did it twice. And the fact that this is, when you talk about having to rewire your brain, this is your nature, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to revert to that. And it's not something that you can be pressured into. It's not something you can simulate. You're not going to see it in practice where you can correct it. This is only going to happen in game situations if it's going to happen.
Yeah, and that's what's very interesting about the whole rewire your brain comment from Will, is that it very much tells you this is his nature, right? And we can all recognize that. But how do you go about changing your nature as a player when, like you said, it almost requires game reps to get yourself into that headspace? So I'll actually be interested in seeing how Will responds to this, and if he does make a correction so that he's not making those big, detrimental plays for his offense, is it because he's over adjusting? Maybe not pulling the trigger on some throws when he could, maybe not, taking sacks when there was an opportunity to keep a play alive, or what does that response look like? And, is there an overcorrection? I think there's a lot of really interesting, aspects to Will's game this Sunday that will be fascinating to watch. And by the way, a very good Packers defense with a very good, versatile and deep defensive line for a quarterback who has been the most pressured quarterback in the NFL through 2 weeks.
Guys, real quick, the rewire comment kind of reminds me a little bit, touch more serious consequences, but the Tua conversation from last year where they had Tua actively trying to avoid contact and avoid hits, and it seemingly worked. But at some point, your just instincts kind of just take over. And, like I said, that's a more serious combo, but kind of reminds me of what we're seeing with Levis. At some point, he just reverts to what he knows best. And the things, in my mind, the things that make him good also, as we've seen through 2 weeks, can potentially make him bad as well.
Well, it's an interesting, thought experiment about football that we're about to see unfold with the Titans and Levis, which to me is this idea: can you coach instincts? Are instincts something that you can train a player to have? Are habits something you can train a player to have? Or do you have to find a guy who already has the right makeup and the right instincts and the right habits hardwired into his brain so that you don't have to go go through this process because he's reverting back to bad habits. So I don't know if I have the answer to that yet. I don't know if Brian Callahan has the answer to that yet. So that will be a very interesting thought experiment to see the Titans play out like as the season unfolds and where Will goes from a very shocking to me start to the season.
It just feels like, Sam, that some of the stuff that you're asking him to not do isn't stuff you should have to ask anybody not to do.
Right. But does that make you feel better? Like, I think that's the interesting question about it, because it's one thing, as Brian Callahan has said, if he's throwing the ball into triple coverage and he's not seeing the safety and he's not understanding how the defense works. And so it's like, you can tell Will, hey, don't throw that ball. But if he sees it and thinks it's open in the game, he's going to throw the ball. Like, does it almost make you feel better that it's such an anomaly of a thing that you feel like it has to get better, and that you like, no, duh, you can't do that. And I thought Brian Callahan's coaching point was very interesting. He had said, I'm never going to yell at Will for throwing an interception. I'm never going to yell at Will for a strip sack fumble because he doesn't see the guy coming from his blind side. Those are football plays that happen to every NFL quarterback. It's these weird, silly, unforced plays that the quarterback is actively doing that you're going to get upset about. And so I don't know. I'm curious to hear your guys' answers to that. Does it make you feel better about Will that it's seemingly fixable, simple stuff?
It's seemingly fixable. But is it?
Seemingly. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of where I'm at on it. I mean, the fact that it feels so simple, don't try to lateral the ball in traffic to one of your guys when you're trying to avoid a sack. Just take that sack, keep the ball, and make a better play the next snap. It just feels, it's seemingly fixable. So I guess we'll see Sunday. Sam Phelan.
But as Wade said, like another wrinkle to it is part of what makes Will Levis so special is some of the magic that he can pull off.
It's like Favre-esque almost, right? Like Favre will get you in some really cool situations, and he will also put you in some really bad situations back in the day. And Levis seems like a earlier version of that, maybe even less talented, but it's kind of the similar vibe that I feel right now.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, you saw a couple of those plays like that scramble he had on that last drive in that game where it's like a lot of quarterbacks go down there and don't try and make a play. Will Levis tries to make a play, and when it works, he slips through the line for a 20-yard rush and almost puts you in a position to win that football game. Right. And then there's the bad plays where he doesn't need to be. I mean, even going back to last year, I don't think we saw anything super disastrous, but we saw like him doing that helicopter spin, for a first down at home when you're like, well, it's the first quarter, man. We don't need to take that hit. So this is not a new thing by any means.
Sam Phelan of A to Z Sports joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by TOA of Columbia. That's Survivor 47 contestant Sam Phelan. Sam, how does one come up with the idea, you know what, I think I want to try to be on Survivor, and then do everything that it takes to get there?
I mean, I had the idea when I was a little kid. I've always wanted to do it. I've always kind of had it in my sights. As a competitive person, as a sports guy who I like competition and I like strategy games, and I sort of see Survivor as a combination of all of them. So it was captivating to me and something that I thought would be a really cool, epic adventure and like a way to push myself and test myself, just see how capable I was. So, it's been something that I wanted to do for a while, and, I finally got the motivation to send in an audition tape and kind of go through the process, and, found myself on the islands of Fiji a little bit surprised. So.
Obviously the show is going on, and so you're really limited in what you can talk about. But, how long was the process from sending in the audition tape to doing whatever it took to actually being told, yeah, we want you to come and do this?
Yeah, I mean, it's a long, multiple month process. It's very drawn out. There's a ton of rounds of different interviews and whatnot. So, yeah, you're constantly sort of in this like job interview sort of cycle, trying to figure out, what's gonna, am I gonna hear back? Am I not gonna hear back? And then, eventually you hit a point where they tell you like, all right, let's do it. You're coming. And yeah, I think it was like 6 or 7 months for me, but from start to finish before I found out.
Was it something that you were talking to people about throughout, or was it just kind of something that you were keeping kind of on the down low until you found out that you were gonna?
Even after I found out, man, I dipped out of there, and I didn't let too many people know. I told my family, told my fiance, said, all right, let my friends know where I'm at, and I headed out. So yeah, you're very limited in who you're sort of able to inform and tell at that stage in the process.
We were talking about before we brought you on, Sam. You're certainly our first ever Survivor contestant that's appeared on our show. I've had a friend that has made the audition tape. That's about as far as she got, though. So at some point down the road, I may have to pick your brain for what maybe makes a successful tape, because she was disappointed that she did not advance. But you're right. It seems, without watching a ton of the show, I do love the idea. My mom is a Survivor and Amazing Race junkie, and I love the game, whether you see professional chess players, a lot of professional poker players and gamblers. There is kind of that strategic element that is a little bit more than your just traditional game show, it seems like.
Oh yeah, Survivor has super like developed over the years into a real game of strategy and social politics is really what it is. So you're constantly on, you're constantly thinking, and it's a very fun concept of taking, those poker players or chess players, like you said, putting them on an island with a farmer, a barista, and a sports writer, and you see what happens. And so, it really is people from different walks of life, which is what I think I've always loved about the game and the show, is this idea of like human connection and human response, like how humans think and how they respond to extreme situations very much plays out on your TV screen every week.
What is it like, Sam, being constantly on?
Stressful. It is a weird, the game is stressful. It is fun at the same time and exhilarating, but it definitely wears you out.
Man, well, you know how it comes out, but we don't. So we certainly wish you luck, and hopefully folks around here will be able to see you on there for a pretty good while. Wednesdays at what time?
7 p.m. Central on CBS. So yeah, every Wednesday, check it out, man. 1 week at a time.
Good luck, man. And good luck with that storyline this weekend, one way or the other, down at Nissan Stadium.
Yeah, we'll see a lot riding on it. For those of us in the media business, especially. You need a big win from the Titans this week.
Absolutely. Hey, we appreciate you taking some time with us, man. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. See you guys later.
Thanks, Sam. When we continue here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, we will talk a little bit more Major League Baseball. Stay tuned when we come back.
Do you want to be a bad man? Yes, you do. Do you want to taste sweet salvation underneath the summer moon? Do you need another hand now? Yes, you do. Go see Miss Josie down on Columbus Avenue. All right, Columbus Avenue.
Welcome to JHA Company, your trusted scholastic partner. We continue to serve schools with yearbooks, letter jackets, and graduation regalia. But now we offer so much more. Our school photography division offers high-quality images that capture the spirit and energy of your students and staff. Let us help build your identity, creating a cohesive look that represents your school's values and traditions. Our e-commerce solutions make it easy for schools to manage and sell their branded apparel online. Let's work together to make every school year unforgettable. Visit our website or contact us today to learn more. J&J Company, celebrating achievements, building identities, and creating memories.
So Busy Bee is a very close-knit family. We fight just like every family does. We have arguments, but we always come out with a solution to the problems. We don't just fight about what we want, we fight about what customers need. We want to make sure that every customer we go to is more than satisfied. And that doesn't just start whenever we show up at their door, that starts when we show up every day at work. We want to make sure that we are serving our customers to the best of our ability.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com. In 2003, Marcus Giles' home run to lead off the fourth inning against Marlins starter Brad Penny was his 20th of the season, making him the sixth Brave to reach that number that season, a number that tied a National League record as well as a franchise record. Gary Sheffield hit his 37th of the year and Javi Lopez his 42nd in the 6-5 loss as the trio and Andrew Jones, Chipper Jones, and Vinny Castilla matched the 1965 Milwaukee Braves group of Gene Oliver, Felipe Alou, Joe Torre, Mac Jones, Eddie Matthews, and of course, Hank Aaron, that each hit 20 plus. That was this day in Braves history. And it's kind of ironic that a Braves second baseman is in the middle of TDIBH today, because earlier today, Braves second baseman Ozzie Albies was activated off of the injured list after breaking his wrist the third weekend in July during their series against St. Louis, series that I was in attendance for. I don't think I had anything to do with it, but at any rate, Ozzie is back. Kevin Biggio has been optioned to AAA Gwinnett to make room on the roster, and I assume Ozzie will be in the starting lineup tonight at Miami. Have not seen a lineup yet, but I would think that'll be the case. So apparently he's only going to bat right-handed because, again, it is the left wrist, and the left wrist is not quite ready to bat left-handed, apparently. So he's going to hit from the right side exclusively. He is a switch hitter by trade, but Ozzie's back, and you'd like to think that can't be anything but a good thing for the Braves as they try to keep up the momentum of these back-to-back wins up at Cincinnati, head into Miami, and cut into this 2-game deficit for the final wild card spot that the Mets continue to hold on to right now.
Yeah, for Atlanta, time is precious. Every win is precious, and you can't really even worry about what the Mets are doing because you're the team that's trailing. You got to take care of your side of the street first before you can even think about making that ground up. So chance chance to kind of cruise into the weekend, a couple nice wins, and let's see where we go from here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They definitely cruised yesterday, 15-3 in a day game up at Cincinnati. 6 home runs, 4 of the 3-run variety. The first time a team has hit 4 3-run home runs in a game, according to the Elias Sports Bureau. That seems kind of hard to believe, but Matt Olson, Michael Harris, Jorge Soler, and Ramon Laureano each with a 3-run homer. Olson and Harris each hit a pair of home runs as the Braves finished with 6, and Chris Sale improved to 18-3 with his 18th straight appearance where he's allowed 2 runs or less. So again, Sale continuing to put a stranglehold on that NL Cy Young Award for 2024, it feels like. So Braves heading into Miami for a 6-10 start tonight. It'll be Charlie Morton, 8-8 with a 4.01 ERA. Going for the Braves, Valente Belozo, 2-4 with a 3.70, getting the start for the Marlins in the first of 3 down there. And again, much needed. They've got to figure out a way to close some ground on the Mets before the Mets come into Truist next week. So this is a big weekend for them. Houston opened its series against the Angels last night with a 3-1 win, maintaining their 5-game lead in the American League West as Seattle defeated the Yankees 3-2. No base running notes regarding Julio Rodriguez in that one, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, and same deal with the Braves that the Mariners in, but even more dire situation, right? Normally, it feels like you should beat the Yankees and you should get credit, but the way the standings work, as long as Houston wins, you don't make up any ground, and that one kind of stings for the Mariners because the fate of the schedule has had them in a tougher situation than Houston. You still got to go out and win. Houston's been prone to lose to some teams like the Angels throughout the course of this season and in seasons past. So every game you got to show up and bring your A game, but until that number reaches 100%, it's around 99% according to FanGraphs to make the playoffs. But until it ticks over to 100, you still got some work to do.
Yeah, and as you've been saying, Wade, it feels like the Astros are kind of in playoff mode right now. Obviously, the Braves are in playoff mode right now as they chase down a postseason berth. So all these games count. 7-10, Tyler Anderson getting the start for the Angels, 10-13 with a 3.60 earned run average. Justin Verlander going out for the Astros, 4-6 with a 5.20. So as Houston continues to try to hold the Mariners off. And
yeah, you'd love for Houston too to just stack some victories, go in with some positivity. I don't think they're probably going to catch any of the other division leaders. The Yankees and the Guardians both have 89 wins. Houston's only got 83. So just go in with as much positive momentum perhaps as possible down the stretch here.
Well, that might kind of be the best of both worlds for them. They are division champ and they play in the wild card round, which means they don't have to sit and watch and wait, because we have seen teams have issues with that layoff in the postseason. So Houston might not be in as bad a situation as perhaps it looks like right now. We'll see how that plays out. Our number 1 of the weekend update here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, is in the books. When we return to the Lee Company studio for our number 2, we'll get into the grab bag. Stay tuned. Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
So, you want to be a part of the Busy Bee team, huh? Well, how do you see yourself fitting into the organization? Oh, I get it. You want to be a weather bee.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
The weekend update continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. We're coming to you from the Lee Company Studios. And Wade, Jonathan Vilma did not play, but the Jets defense got to Jacoby Brissett and Drake May 7 times in last night's 24-3 victory. Defense showed up with or without Vilma.
Yeah, big win for the Jets last night. Not a perfect game by any stretch. Certainly not a aesthetically pleasing game for the neutral observers, but for the Jets, pretty much what you wanted, right? You don't have any weird ghosts of Patriots past that come out. There's no lingering Belichick and Brady kind of voodoo. Although, when I heard that, didn't get to watch any of it, but when I heard that the quarterback change was made and Drake May came in, I mean, the Jets did knock out Drew Bledsoe. Brian Cox is responsible for Tom Brady. So I had this weird feeling. I was like, man, watch Drake May become like the next Tom Brady. But luckily, that did not happen, and the Jets won the game nice and cozy, despite Rodgers kind of playfully or maybe not so playfully getting into it with his head coach on the sideline. And kind of all is right with the world for New York. Your one loss is on the road on Monday Night Football to San Francisco.
Your one loss is on the road to San Francisco. You picked up a win in Nashville that you may or may not should have gotten. And so you're to 2-1 now. And
got the Broncos coming up next. They got a long rest. They played 3 games in 10 days to start the season. Now they got a little bit of a rest. You get the Broncos coming in. Who the heck knows what they're going to look like. And then you got the Vikings at home after that. So a chance for New York to maybe go on a little bit of a run here.
Yeah, absolutely. Interesting that they did decide to throw May in there, the Patriots last night. But again, Brissett took 5 sacks on the night, and it didn't get a whole lot better for May. They got to him a couple of times as well. But Gerard Mayo after the game said that Jacoby Brissett is our quarterback until he's not. So if you're a Patriots fan, I guess stay tuned.
Yep. Hey, real quick, here's and then potentially, who knows? You also maybe get Hassan Reddick back in the mix too, which would certainly be fantastic for the defense. But I didn't know this going into last night's game, but here's a stat. The Patriots, go to overtime last week versus the Seahawks. In the last 20 years, teams that have played an overtime game and then played on short rest, aka a Thursday night game, versus a team that did not have that overtime factor, they're 6-20 all time. So a little bit of extra wear and tear on the Patriots. They did not look great. They're not expected to be a great team by any means. And despite that, week one kind of got everybody in New England's hopes potentially up just a tick. But the Patriots kind of reverted to what I think a lot of folks are expecting from them over the course of this season.
you queuing up Dennis Green there. They were who we thought they were.
Yeah, I mean, and so the realist Patriot fans are saying, okay, week one it was a very fluky game. The Bengals had a couple fumbles right near the goal line, but the Patriots went out, won the game, and then heck, you go to overtime last week. I mean, you potentially were sitting here, coming in 2-0, and who knows what would have happened. That's one of those games, all the pressure, whether you admit it or not, was on the Jets. And so for the fact that they didn't really kind of leave much to chance or leave much to doubt was in an odd way uncharacteristic for me as a resident Jets fan and kind of reassuring. Breece Hall had a pretty good game. Braylon Allen still the youngest, touchdown scorer, tied for the youngest touchdown scorer in the history of the NFL. He had a good game running the ball, and Rodgers is doing Rodgers things right now.
Yeah. Sorry about that. We are having some computer issues here that are making things on this end a little dicey. Wanted to mention, Wade, we talked a little bit about this Sun Belt matchup last night between South Alabama and App State. South Alabama coming off that 87-10 win over Northwestern State, the most points scored in an FBS game in 30-ish years. Well, they went over to Boone last night and put 48 on the Mountaineers in a 48-14 win. So I don't know if it's Major Applewhite versus everybody or what it is, but this Jaguars attack is it looks like they're taking no prisoners. They led 28-7 at the half and were up by as many as 41-7 before easing out to that 48-14 victory. So big win for South Alabama. Break them up 2-2 on the year now.
Yeah, that's that was an interesting game. I'm not going to lie. And that was one that Jacob Underwood and I were kind of, glancing through the scores at the end of the night. We were talking about the Jets game, and we both kind of simultaneously looked at this college football game, and we were like, that did not play out the way we thought. South Alabama, is not supposed to go into Boone and do what they did. So, yeah, props to Coach Applewhite and that bunch because, I don't know, maybe running up the score on a FCS team. Usually that confidence is kind of a false confidence. But, man, maybe App State had a clunker too. I don't know. It was a real head-scratcher of a result last night.
The 135 points in a 2-game span are the most for any Sun Belt program in the conference's history, which makes sense. Again, 48 points at App State. Like you said, it's a head scratcher to say the least. They had 2 100-yard rushers in the ball game, and defensively they gave up almost 400 yards, but clearly got stops when they had to. App State scored on a Hail Mary to end the half, and with 52 seconds left against USA's second unit on defense. So it's.
And that was the first conference game for either team. So I don't know that South Alabama's maybe going to potentially win the division or win the conference, but who knows? I mean, if they're going to put up the numbers they've been putting up offensively, they're going to be tough to beat. And they go to LSU next weekend.
Ooh, yeah, and that's a dangerous game. Obviously, when you're talking about them going and playing, a top 25 game, top 25 team, and them being a group of 5 team. I mean, you don't want to go down there and certainly get anybody hurt with the momentum that you have built up against Northwestern State, but then with a win at Appalachian State. So, it'll be interesting to see how things go for the Jags over in Baton Rouge next week for sure. Wade, we talked about WNBA stuff yesterday with Megan L. Hall for the win, and we were talking about the final postseason berth that was up for grabs between the Atlanta Dream, the Chicago Sky, and the Washington Mystics. And going into last night, the Dream had a 1-game lead over both the Sky and the Mystics. And so obviously, if the Dream was to win last night, they'd lock up that final berth. Now, they were playing at the New York Liberty, the number 1 seed. So we had concluded that the cleanest scenario was also the hardest scenario. Well, the Dream took that personal. Final score, Atlanta, if I can find this, 78, the Liberty 67. The Dream are the number 8 seed going into the WNBA playoffs. So congrats to them at 15-25. Didn't
Get that
see
last
that coming.
spot. Yeah, didn't see it coming. You'd text me the score last night, and I just still didn't know what was going on. Just didn't seem right. The spread was only 2.5. Vegas knew something was up, I feel like. And now that they get in, guess what? We get to do it all over again, and this time they count.
And what's crazy?
This time they count for the Liberty, I should say. They counted last night for the Dream, but now it counts for the Liberty too.
What's crazy, looking at the Dreams box score, Naz Hillman scored 13 points, Ryan Howard scored 13 points, Tina Charles and Alicia Gray each scored 10 points. I mean, a really balanced attack for the Dream in this one on the road. The Liberty got 16 out of Stewie, 14 off the bench from Sabali. It looks like they played their regular starters. Jonquil Jones started. Sabrina Ionescu started. Lainey Hamilton, Vandersloot. Vandersloot did not score in 16 minutes. And again, Stewart and Sabali were their only double-digit scorers. So, I don't know if they were, like you said, resting some folks or what it was, but the Dream certainly took advantage on the road and is heading into the playoffs. So your playoff brackets are obviously the Liberty and the Dream are one quarterfinal matchup. You've also got the Aces and the Storm. So there's a likelihood of seeing the Liberty and the Aces in the semifinals, which is a little deflating. But the Aces and the Storm, that's your 4-5 matchup. Minnesota and Phoenix is your 2-7, and the Connecticut Sun and the Indiana Fever are your 3-6. The first round matchups are best of 3s starting tomorrow. So we'll be keeping an eye on that.
Yeah, you're right. The Aces and Liberty, I mean, on one hand, it does feel a little deflating, but on the other hand, those WNBA execs are thrilled the fact that you're going to get a championship matchup in the semifinals potentially. Unless the Storm, I still think the Storm could potentially, not so much the Dream, even though I got my Michigan girl, Naz Hillman, you mentioned a moment ago, but the Storm, maybe. It feels like the Aces are playing better. I do feel a little more confident about them going into the postseason. On the other side of the bracket, the Fever and the Sun could be a fun matchup. The Aces just missed tracking down the Sun by 1 game. So then you got the Lynx and the Mercury. I think this will be a fun little postseason, and I think there will be more eyeballs on this postseason than there have been on the WNBA in a long, long time.
Yeah. Gonna try to grab the schedule real quick because I think all 4 of these games are Sunday, excuse me, not tomorrow. The Dream and the Liberty play at 12 noon, I believe that's Eastern time. Followed by the Fever and no, these are Central time. So the Dream and Liberty will play at 12 noon Central, followed by the Fever and the Sun at 2. The Mercury and the Lynx at 4, and the Storm and the Aces at 9. I'm not sure what television arrangements are.
3 of them on ESPN. The Fever and the Sun will be on ABC, it looks like.
There we go. Okay. Oh, well, of course. The Fever on ABC. Okay. All right.
What was the of course there? What are you insinuating, Mr. Patton?
Well, I mean, we're
it's
not
a 3-6 series.
Exactly.
And you don't want Vegas playing. They're a West Coast. You don't want 2 West Coast teams playing at 2 o'clock or noon Pacific time, do you?
No. You don't want the defending league champion getting any kind of a bump or anything like that. So yeah. So the Dream Liberty, the Mercury Lynx, and the Storm Aces are on ESPN. Is that what you said?
Yep.
Okay.
Like you said, at 12, 2, 4, and 9. I mean, if you want to post up on Sunday, if your bets and your fantasy football ain't looking too swift by about 1 o'clock, you can go ahead and just park and be there all afternoon.
There you go. Winners of their last 2 games, the Nashville Soccer Club will be at Geodis Park tomorrow night at 7:30 taking on FC Cincinnati. And I think the competitive level of the opponent goes up a little bit for this one.
Yeah, you can only get full on bottom feeders, full on cupcakes, as Lee Corso would say, for so long. And who knows, though? Maybe this was a little 2-match run that Nashville needed to kind of just restore its confidence a little bit. They played Cincinnati well in years past, kind of when they're not really supposed to. In a weird way, it feels like they played better on the road versus Cincinnati, and Cincinnati has played better when they come to Nashville. So this will be an entertaining matchup. Hopefully Nashville can keep the good vibes rolling and maybe continue to crawl out of the cellar. If they could win and certain teams won or lost, they could suddenly be right back. They could go from last place in the conference to back in the playoffs with the right combination tomorrow night.
The Nashville Predators open preseason competition Sunday. They have a split squad doubleheader down at Florida, and Peter Tomasino will be with them. The Preds and he agreed on a 1-year deal earlier this week. So hockey is right around the corner. It's kind of hard to believe.
They got camp opening up. NBA camp opens up next week. It is going to be, we were right in the thick of things. There's I'm close to East Nashville High School. Hopefully going to check their game out tonight versus Liberty Creek. There's already a pumpkin patch right around the corner, Mo, right by East Nashville. Fall is here and the teams are ready. Fall sports are officially upon us.
Well, if you go over to East Nashville for that Liberty Creek game, it will be on my TV 30, and Jeff Hem will be Mike's side. So just slip up to the press box, tell him we said hey.
I've heard he's filling in for our buddy Lucas Panzica tonight, and Lucas said, Jeff Hem, right? And I said, oh, yeah, we know Jeff. And, it'll be an interesting switch from the high-paced game of football compared to minor league baseball. But I'm sure if anybody else can do it, we're in confident hands with Mr. Jeff Hem, right?
Oh, without question. He can handle the transition. Yeah, look forward to that. Again, that game will be on my TV 30 tonight at 7 o'clock. Be sure and check that out. Apparently, Wade will be. So
I got to go to a game. We were going down the rundown, and I just started, my hands started just itching a little bit. I was like, I got to get to one. McGavock and Antioch, I was hoping that Stratford was going to be at home, and they're on the road tonight. Pearl Cone, I'm not saying, that food is the end-all, be-all, But you can get me over to Pearl Cone. They're playing Montgomery Central. I can be enticed to get over there for the right amount of catfish, perhaps. If you know what I mean.
Now, are you talking about catfish the sandwich, or are you talking about catfish the PA announcer?
Hey, maybe a double dose. You never know, right?
IYK, absolutely. Let's take a break here on Main Street Sports today. When we come back, we'll be joined by Joe Rexrode of The Athletic. Stay tuned.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
He shoots, and he scores!
The weekend update continues here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. We're coming to you from the Lee Company studios, and we are now joined by Joe Rexrode of The Athletic as we talk a little college football. Joe, I was looking through the schedule, and I was kind of fascinated by a couple of conference matchups this weekend. One of those being Utah and Colorado State, another one being Southern Cal and Michigan. Conference realignment has made for some strange bedfellows, I guess.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, so I think it's tonight. Is it Stanford Syracuse is an ACC game tonight? Sure.
Yeah.
What a great ACC battle that'll be. Yes.
Cal FSU. I mean, the historic rivalries that conference that you dream of in ACC play, right?
Exactly. I mean, they just meet in like South Dakota and play the game. But now some of these things are cool, like Texas A&M getting back together against Texas A&M's will is cool, So every once in a while, a good thing will result from it. But yeah, mostly it's just very dumb. So it's just college. I love college football, but my goodness, is it dumb? But I will say, the kind of like the Pac-12 after dark, we don't have that, but we do at least have I think some of the Big Ten, Pac-12, meshing is kind of fun, including USC at Michigan. I mean, I do like some of the, like last week, I'm watching Indiana going out to the Rose Bowl and just pummeling UCLA, which is a conference game. I mean, some of it is at least fascinating to see unfold.
For sure it is. And like you said, Indiana pummeling UCLA. I think UCLA has got another interesting one this weekend. They play LSU, right?
Yeah, they're going to lose by 50. I mean, they are just a dreadful. I mean, it's unbelievable how bad UCLA has gotten, to the point where like USC just, if they have any decent coaches, USC just goes and hires them away. I mean, they are an absolutely destitute program. So yeah, that's going to be a nice bounce back. That's the thing, on its face, that sounds pretty good. UCLA and LSU, okay,
Right.
Little intersectional battle, but no, that's going to be absolutely ugly. Like a game like, if you want to talk about an interesting game to me that I think could be way better than people might think, and it's not. I haven't heard it talked about a lot this week, but Miami at South Florida. 16.5 point line, I believe, is what I heard earlier today. But now I'll tell you what, Alex Golish, that team, anybody who watched that South Florida Alabama game, they were right there. I mean, you have to finish in the red zone, and if they do, they've got a real chance to win at Alabama. I think they got a chance to win that game tomorrow night.
Yeah, let's go back to UCLA for just a second, Joe. Obviously, they had the coaching change, but how did they get here?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's, it comes down to administration and bad administrative hires, for one thing for sure there. And they just haven't had the investment. I mean, it's really interesting, the Pac-12 and just the Pacific Coast and college football. It is different. I remember a long time ago, I covered a season opener. It was Michigan. I was on the Michigan State, beat Michigan State at Cal. That was when Cal was really good. They had Javid Best. They were in a really good run. It was a season opener, primetime ABC, Saturday night. And I mean, there were 20,000 empty seats. And 2 nights before, Stanford had I forget who they played, but they played a really good game. Might have been like Stanford, Washington or something like that, like a Thursday night, college football week 1, And again, like a couple of my buddies who are reporters went to it because they went out there early and they're like, there was no one there. I mean, it is hard out there. You can go back to Pete Carroll's glory days at USC. And I know that's a huge stadium, but you can't fill the place, So it's easy, I think, for programs like that to fade. I mean, obviously USC has continued to invest and it's very important to USC, but UCLA has just fallen off, I think, in investment. And I don't know, it's like it prioritizes basketball more, but I think it always ends up coming back to you got to win. You got to have a product in football. You got to win. You got to try to win, at least get to postseason games and all that. But it just hasn't been there from the top down. And then Chip Kelly is, Chip Kelly was at the cutting edge of the sport 15 years ago, and he's not anymore. And so, he decides, what, I'm just going to go be the OC at Ohio State and have better players than you and look like I'm smart again.
Yeah, I mean, that to me says it all right there, Joe. The fact that Chip Kelly, warts and all, and as bad as he can rub people the wrong way administratively and all, he says, yeah, I'm cool taking an offensive coordinator position rather than being your team's head coach. That kind of says a lot, in my opinion.
Exactly. And it does say a lot about UCLA, but it says also, that's the thing. I mean, you can go make close to I don't know what he might be making, $2 million. You can make about $2 million being an OC, or a court DC or OC at a top program. You have way less on your plate, way less pressure. There's still pressure, but, and then you have a great advantage in that job. It's actually, you think about it, it's a heck of a job. I mean, Greg Schiano, and I know like Schiano's done well at Rutgers, and like for Rutgers, he can win 6-7 games a year at Rutgers and they're happy. But, all of a sudden he rehabilitates his career, being the defensive coordinator of Ohio State. It's great work if you can get it.
Joe Rexrode of The Athletic joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Joe, this weekend, as the schedule goes, there's not a whole lot that just makes you go, wow, definitely want to clear the decks for that one, aside from maybe UT Oklahoma. But other than UT Oklahoma, what will you be paying attention to this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, certainly that's the big one, UT Oklahoma. I mean, I'm excited to a point to see Arch Manning start. And I mean, our guy Bruce Feldman did have a great story today on the fact that he's going against General Booty. I mean, which is the greatest name ever. But also, like, I did not realize I was reminded that Josh Booty and Peyton Manning were like the top two quarterbacks in that recruiting class. Some people thought Josh Booty was better, but like the ties between those families, I really didn't realize. It's really fascinating. The sort of the parallels between those families, but so I'm excited to see Arch Manning. I am interested in Michigan USC. I still feel like Michigan has a defense good enough to be a decent team. It is home, and of course they're starting Alex Orji at quarterback, going away from Davis Warner, who just has been a disaster at quarterback. I'm still really interested in that game. Actually, I will say one game that's kind of under the radar, but I'm kind of excited to watch is K-State, which
night game.
That's sort of our Pac-12 after darkish kind of game, is K-State at BYU, both 3-0. K-State is really, I mean, I think they've got a real chance to win the Big 12, but I mean, playing out in Provo at night, I mean, it's never easy. So I think that could actually be a sneaky, good game. But you're right, Mo. It's not a great weekend. I'm interested in Arkansas, Auburn. I will say this, locally speaking, I'm still really interested. It's hugely disappointing that Vanderbilt goes to Georgia State and loses that game, especially when the offense has that dramatic, drive and you're going to survive. And then the defense says, no, actually go right down the field, please. But you know what? I still feel like Diego Pavia and that offense can be a pain in the butt for some SEC teams, and maybe Missouri this week. I watched a lot of Missouri BC last week, and BC had a chance, and Missouri, not sure they're quite what they are made out to be, and I just wonder if Vanderbilt, with some creativity on offense, you get a little lucky break here or there, tip a pass at the line, if they could make that a watchable game.
And it doesn't take much for Vanderbilt to be creative, like you said, with Pavia at quarterback, because he is pretty much creativity personified right there. So maybe they do have a chance up at Como. You got to be careful talking too much about Michigan because Wade is a Wolverines fan, but we've kind of tried to dissect the quarterback situation there. How did they get so bad there with Warren?
Yeah, and what I mean, he's a great story. He's overcome cancer and all that, but that's a guy that you want in your program as a backup, and it's just an in-between year. I think you can probably look now, and because they got the freshman in that everybody's excited about, and I know some Michigan fans probably would like to see him, but I think it's probably one of those years that you could look back in retrospect and say, you know what, this would have been a good portal year to go get a veteran and go try to get one of those guys and for a 1-year starting gig, because it's just going to be. I don't see how it isn't. However, wherever you look, it's just going to be an in between year for them. But obviously, if the recruiting is on point, then they'll be fine. They'll be back. But I do think this could be a tough year. It's too bad because I still think, Texas is great. Texas might be the best team in college football, and Quinn Ewers is great. And so, look, I was impressed with what Texas did against that defense. I still think that Michigan defense most weeks is going to give them a chance to win most games.
Joe, to your point earlier about the conference realignment and the matchups, this will be USC's first trip to the Big House since like 1958. But really unfortunate that it comes in September, because USC in the Big House, like on November 9th, would potentially be epic seeing the Southern Cal folks maybe potentially seeing snow for the first time in their lives.
Yeah, no doubt, right? I'm sure at least like in some form, and I hope, like we'll get like whatever, like Ole Miss at Ohio State or something like that. Tennessee at Penn State. We'll get something like that, or a West Coast team at one of those places, during the playoff, and actually get the snow element. So, but yeah, I mean, you're right. That would be more fun. That it is cool. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, realignment again. It's stupid. It's absolutely inane, especially when you start getting into football. Should have broken off. I mean, they just leave the other sports alone. Don't make freaking Rutgers and Oregon volleyball try to figure out their game, But stuff like this is cool. I mean, it is cool. You're going to have, I think we have, do we get Oregon, Ohio State this year? Or am I wrong on that?
I'm looking at it. You read my mind, Joe. October 12th, Ohio State at Oregon.
I mean, that's cool.
That's part of that October 12th day that is just going to be bonkers with all kinds of good games.
Right. Yeah. So, so, you get some cool stuff in it. And look, Texas, Oklahoma, the fact that it's Oklahoma's first SEC game against Tennessee and all that with Heupel coming back, that's pretty cool too.
Joe Rexrode of The Athletic joining us here on Main Street Sports today. Joe, as we talk about realignment, Ross Dellinger has got an article out there saying that of all schools, Memphis may hold the key to the revival of the Pac-12.
That's wild. Well, obviously it's wild to think about, right? And I mean, first of all, awesome for Memphis, and it looks like those four schools are going to go and all that, and I think that's a great deal for Memphis. It's also like, the revival of the Pac-12 is still like it's a relative term, right? It's a picked over league, and I love the idea of Washington State and Oregon State being able to keep that together in some form, and still you could say, okay, well, it's still the fifth best league, right? But it's still like, it's a Power Four now, So, but hey, and when you talk about this too, like on the hoops front, it's not bad when you think about all the how it could come together there with the various schools. So, but good for Memphis. And speaking of Memphis, I think Memphis right now has got a real chance here to to take advantage of the situation and be that first group of 5 team and the 12 team. Nicole Auerbach had a good article at NBC about. Like Ryan Silverfield talking about recruiting's already, like he's noticing in recruiting, just being able to say, yeah, there's the 12 team now, and like you can come here and you can get in that thing. You think about the impact so far for the few weeks. I think that's the biggest thing to me that I hadn't really considered as much, is that these programs, like these wins mean something. Like Northern Illinois. That win could mean something. Northern Illinois Toledo is a huge national game in a few weeks because of that 12th spot. Again, maybe I'm being hyperbolic saying huge national game, but it's going to be talked about, and people are paying attention to that like they would not have before when Northern Illinois beat Notre Dame. It's like, no, that's really nice for you guys. Yay. Right. What a great upset for your program. Now it's like, okay, this could be your key to the playoff.
Same deal to your point, Joe. Like UNLV is hosting Boise State in a couple of weeks, which could be a mega game in that regard.
Exactly. And you've got a Heisman candidate there too, who I think, it should be considered a legitimate Heisman candidate in Genty from Boise State. So, yeah, look, I've been in favor of it just because I thought the 4-team made everything about the playoff, and yet, like if the whole sport is going to be about the playoff now, then I thought it had to be more inclusive. I know some of these games are going to suffer. We're going to have some conference title games that are just like seeding games, whereas in the past it was like win or else. But I think we're going to have more games that have significance, and so I'll take that.
Joe, to that point, sorry, Mo, real quick. Someone posed this question to me earlier this week, and I really didn't have a good answer or hadn't thought about it this way. Would you almost potentially rather be the 3 team in the SEC, or where do you view that? Yeah. Where do you view that pecking order now? What does the conference championship loss, I guess, do to you in an SEC as a closest example? We'll use it.
No, it's a great question and point. And I mean, I think in different years that will be true. I mean, first of all, obviously it's like if you're safe as the 3, then I don't want to get my kids beat up going playing Georgia, like 2 weeks before the playoffs. So, yeah, I mean, and then also there is if you take that out, we've seen that happen before. We've seen teams lose in their conference title game that if they didn't play it, they're in the 4 team, right? And then they get bounced. So now, is it possible? I mean, that's where like the tiebreakers and everything. Like, is it possible to be in? I suppose if you have a cushy SEC schedule and you get there clearly, but then like you had a bad non-league loss or something, right? So now, like, it's great to be in the SEC title game, but maybe you could get bounced out altogether because of your non-league loss. I mean, I think there's definitely going to be some different iterations of that where, yeah, teams are like, hey, man, I'm cool here. Now, granted, if you get in the SEC title game, there should still be something that, winning the SEC as winning a championship should matter. But, I mean, again, with everything about the playoff, it has de-emphasized that. And then if you win, you should be able to get the bye, which is great. But then also we have this whole, you get the bye, so that means you don't get to play a home game, which is so dumb, and I hope this is the only year we have that. Like, that needs to be revisited as quickly as possible, and the bowls can be involved, but they're just going to have to be involved more sparsely, in my opinion, and we don't have to have all 6 of these bowls every year so that we can have freaking neutral site quarterfinals. It's just absolutely asinine to me.
Joe Rexrode of The Athletic joining us here on Main Street Sports today, and opened the vein just now. But hey, I agree with you for what that's worth. But yeah, that's didn't see us going there, but that makes a whole lot of sense, man. We appreciate you spending some time with us this afternoon, and catch up on some rest, since again this weekend's college schedule isn't especially compelling, but I'm sure you'll be over at Nissan on Sunday checking out the Packers and Titans.
Yep, I will be, and and sorry, like, and whenever we start talking playoff, I eventually get like my blood boiling talking about the bowls having to be involved in everything. So yes,
no apology necessary. I just didn't expect it. No, it's all good. We like that, but see if you can keep Levis from doing anything stupid Sunday.
Oh boy, well, yeah, I tell you what, if he has a 3rd straight week of doing a mind-numbing, like Garo Yepremian, field goal thing, then I don't know what to say anymore.
Yeah, I would imagine you're kind of written out on it, huh?
I mean, it's like I don't know. I mean, I think at some point it's going to be all of a sudden he's not going to throw to anyone who has a defender within 10 yards. He's going to overcompensate the other way. But yeah, and let's see if the Titans can go a week without getting a punt blocked.
Yeah, that too. Anyway, we appreciate it. We'll catch up with you, man. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, guys.
All right. Hey, when we come back after this break to the Lee Company Studios on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, it's the last segment of the week. Wade and I will take our shots once again at picking 10 winners from this week's college football games against the spread. We got better last week, so we'll see how it goes this time around. Stay tuned when we come back.
So, you want to be a part of the Busy Bee team, huh? Well, how do you see yourself fitting into the organization? Oh, I get it. You want to be a weather bee.
Do you want to be a bad man? Yes, you do. Do you want to taste sweet salvation underneath the summer moon? Do
Welcome back, folks. You are watching the final segment here of Main Street Sports Today, presented as always by TOA of Columbia. Wayne Neely here, sitting in the saddle. Mo's jumped off camera for just a moment, but he is scurrying back. He went, I am almost positive, folks. He went back to whatever well that he and I drank from last week, and was trying to tap back into that source because it was a good week for the folks. We went 7-3 apiece. Got there in much different avenues, if you will, but both arriving at 7-3. And so as he rejoins us, yeah, we're hoping that we're sipping from the same well because we got the 10-game wonder slate yet again on tap, including a game that begins. We just talked with Joe Rexrode of The Athletic, and Joe was talking about there are a couple good games. We had a decent Fun Belt game last night, but Mo, we kick off the wonder slate. We got a ranked showdown on the Big Ten Friday night showdown tonight as number 24 Illinois takes on number 22 Nebraska. You can see Raiola doing his best Patrick Mahomes impersonation. And the Nebraska Cornhuskers are favored by 7.5 tonight for that game that begins at 7 p.m. on Fox.
Yeah, the Nebraska coach's names just slipped my mind all of a sudden, but he's really done a good job getting Nebraska back into, if not prominence, into relevance here. And, night game in Lincoln, I kind of like Nebraska to cover. I'm not real up on or sold on Illinois at this point. Not sure that they are necessarily a top 25 ball club, but I like what Nebraska has done to this point. So I'm gonna go with Nebraska in this one. GBR, go Big Red. Sorry, Justin Adams.
Oof, yeah. Be careful with that. I'm taking Nebraska as well. I got a couple of Illinois friends and alum, and Coach Kyle Bent is going to be furious at me for going against his alma mater, but I got to take Nebraska. I wish this line was 6.5, but I'm going to roll the dice a little bit, and I think Nebraska can cover 7.5. I would feel a lot better with Nebraska winning this game like 27-20 if that number was 6.5. But give me Nebraska on a home surface tonight. We won't be able to catch that game, but that place will be rocking undoubtedly this evening.
Yeah, we'll be a little busy at 7 o'clock.
Will
more so than you.
I may be able to pull it up on the sideline on my phone, I guess. Will Compton will be fired up for that one tonight as his alma mater again takes on Illinois. Game number 2, we go from the highest of highs to, the sick and sadistic. We got Florida 6-point favorites at Mississippi State. This is how no one should subject any part of their Saturday, let alone at 11 a.m. to start your Saturday, Mo, but we got to do it. Do you like the Gators on the road?
Well, see, here's the thing. This is that train wreck that you don't want to watch but can't not watch, because if by chance Jeff Lebby and the Bulldogs get right here after that loss to Toledo at home last week, then I'm not sure Billy Napier makes it back to Gainesville. Now, I mean, we talked to Chris Lee earlier this week. I'm not sure what good a mid-season firing does for Florida under the circumstances, but it might just be one of those things that up with this we cannot put. I think Florida wins this ball game, but as we've mentioned in other conversations, other topics over the course of the week, the chaos of a Florida loss would be worth watching, I think. But I do think Florida wins.
Yeah, and covers, you're saying?
Yes, I do think Florida covers 6.
Okay, I think Florida covers as well. This would be a game that, it would be wild if Mississippi State somehow is up like 28-0 at halftime. I'm not going to watch any portion of this game unless that occurs, and then I might watch the whole second half because I'm here for the uncomfortableness. And they may not fire him this week, but if you lose this one and you lose at home to the Gus Bus with UCF coming to town next week, they'll be on high alert. We both take the Gators though, And I do think that's more so just because I think Mississippi State is also just that bad.
Mm-hmm.
Game number 3. This one is your 2:30 CBS kickoff. It ain't SEC, baby, but it's number 11 USC at number 18 Michigan. USC is favored by 5, Mo.
Yeah, Michigan being a home dog again. I mean, it worked for Texas last week. And with a new quarterback going in for the Wolverines this time around, I think I like USC to cover 5.
Man, once bitten, twice shy. I'm torn on this one. I feel like USC is a good team. I also feel like they are getting a little bit more credit than a win over LSU in week 1 is justified. All that being said, I still think they do cover such a small number. I think USC wins by about 6, maybe about 7, and I hope I'm wrong. It'd be sweet if Orji throws for a couple touchdowns. It'd be sweet if Michigan's defense can show up, but I don't think that they will. I think USC wins this game by about 7 points, and Michigan's woes continue. Up next, number 4. This one should be pretty fun. This is a sneaky good game.
Mm-hmm.
Auburn would be undefeated if not for a toe stubbing versus Cal a couple weeks ago. Arkansas would be undefeated if not for a toe stubbing and blowing a big lead at Oklahoma State. It's Arkansas at Auburn, and it's a 2:30 kickoff on ESPN. Auburn is favored by 2.5, Mo.
You know, we talked to Chris Lee about this ball game and about Taylon Green, the quarterback at Arkansas, and I like Arkansas in this matchup. I like them to win outright, I believe, not just cover the 2.5 dog that they are on the road. I'm taking the Hogs in this one.
You and I are alike through the first 4 picks, and I'm with you there. I don't care what the spread is. I'm taking Arkansas. Not that I'm against Auburn per se. I just like what I've seen out of Arkansas, and yet they were again a couple plays away from beating a ranked OK State team on the road just a couple of weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Exactly.
Hey, speaking of Oklahoma State, game number 5. This is a classic mom and pop, old school Big 12 rivalry game, right? Number 12 Utah is at number 14 Oklahoma State, and the Cowpokes are favored by 2 in this 3 p.m. showdown, Mo.
Oh man. I would love to know whether or not Cam Rising is playing in this ball game because I think that's kind of an X factor for Utah. But I think at home, I think I'm going to go with Oklahoma State, but it's not a comfortable pick. Let me say that.
I think this is going to be a fun game. I'm looking forward to watching it. And I picked Utah in our pick'em pool in the Lawrence County Advocate and in the Pulaski Citizen, and that's with no spread. So I'm taking Utah to also, who needs the spread? 2 points. Give me them outright. Mm-hmm. I think Utah wins this game, and come this time next week, maybe I'll look like a little bit of a loser because Oklahoma State is a really good team.
I think it's a good pick.
It'll be a close game.
Mm-hmm.
Game number 6, Vanderbilt at number 7, Missouri. Speaking of things that just sound weird, number 7, Missouri.
Yeah.
And they are favored by 20. The game is at 3:15, and it's on SEC Network.
That's a big number, even though Missouri's at home. I think Vandy covers. I don't know that they come up with the win, but I think Vandy battles back after that tough loss at Georgia State this past weekend. I like Vanderbilt plus 20.
I'm going opposite side of the tracks here. I think Missouri, after a little bit of a shaky performance versus Boston College, maybe trying to regather themselves. I also think that Vanderbilt playing well, but I want to see where they're at emotionally. I feel like this could be a letdown situation, and I think Missouri wins this game. Don't blow them out. They maybe win by 21 or 24, but they cover the 20 points in my mind. Cruising right along. A game that Joe Rexrode must have read our minds, folks, because one of the games he said he was intrigued by was number 8 Miami, who's at South Florida, and the Canes are favored by 17 in this one, though.
That's a lot of points. It's a lot of points on the road in particular. And, we talked about South Florida and their performance against Alabama. Miami's awfully good. I'm thinking maybe this is a 2-touchdown game. I don't know that it's much more than that, so I'm going to go with the Bulls right here.
I'm taking South Florida as well. Miami quarterback Cam Ward, maybe a Heisman favorite at the moment. We'll find out. If he can go on the road and cover this number versus South Florida, yeah, I'll lean into maybe him and the Heisman hype train, but I'm taking the Bulls until I see otherwise. I'm with you. Cruising down the home stretch here. Classic ACC showdown. Cal goes to Florida State at 6 p.m. And the Noles, somehow, some way, are still favored as a football team. They're favored by 2.5 in this game.
Winless Florida State favored, but they are at home, and Cal's coming a long way. So, maybe that's the rationale behind that. Cal just beat Auburn a couple of weeks ago, right?
Yep. Beat a good San Diego State team last weekend.
You know what? Give me the Bears to cover.
Man, I feel like we have picked I feel like we've gone to the well with Florida State. You've turned. I feel like this is the one week that finally Florida State is maybe going to pull it together.
There you go.
Hey, you know what? Hey, I'm a glutton for punishment. Give me Florida State, and if Cal goes in and beats them, you know what? Then fine. I'll never pick them again the rest of the season. I can't put you Florida State. You were a top 10 team less than a month ago.
It's crazy. It really is.
Man, that'll be one at 6 p.m. On ESPN2. Speaking of 6 o'clock window, 6:30. Here's the main event for us, Mo. Number 6, Tennessee at number 15, Oklahoma. The Vols are favored by 7.
The Vols will cover 7 and then some.
Ooh, I like where your head's at there. I'm taking the Vols as well. I think it's going to be a good game. I just don't see a path to victory for Oklahoma.
I really don't. Just the way Tennessee is playing on both sides of the ball, and folks want to say they've not played anybody, and NC State is the only team that comes close to being anybody. I get that. But I just don't feel – I feel like the way Oklahoma has struggled to win in the games that they've won doesn't inspire a lot of confidence for me. So I like UT at this number, even on the road.
That'll be a fun game to watch. Bonus pick, Big 12 after dark, number 13, Kansas State, favored by 6.5 at BYU. Battle of Unbeatens at 9:30.
Big 12 after dark, 6.5 on the road. I don't know. I'm going to go with BYU to cover. Shooting in the dark here.
I'd love to see BYU win this game. I don't know that they win the game. I do think they cover. And Provo, at a night game, they'll be rocking. They will be amped up, ready for Kansas State to come town. Should be a fun one. That is our final game.
There we go. That is our final game. This is our final segment. We are done here at Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Be sure and rejoin us Monday at 2 o'clock. Same bat time, same bat channel. Go to a high school game tonight somewhere. We'll see y'all Monday.